The gang them grew up in Piney. The gang them grew up in Piney. I know turbulence vibing. I know you niggas vibing. Flying while you niggas getting. Yo, flying while you niggas flying. Yo, come new when I'm driving. Come new when I'm driving. Got a skyline view when I'm riding. Got a skyline view when I'm riding.
Gang, welcome back, man. Welcome back to Let's Talk Everything for One Folk Podcast. Y'all already know who I am. I am the host, Carter Slaughter, of course. And today, what I want to do is I want to make sure, let me see, before we do anything, I got to make sure I got us popping, right? I got to make sure I got the right type of lighting in this joint, right? Because it all make that much difference when we got the right lighting. So today, man, I got this video popping off, of course, man. And I wasn't going to go live today, but I did. I said, you know what? Forget it. And we got your boy, Jake Barber here. Shout out to Jake Barber, one of the UFO whistleblowers. And when I tell y'all, I talk about everything. And I mean that, man. You know, I like to talk about and discuss everything. You know what I'm saying? Everything that's possible, things that are not being talked about around the world, things that is being talked about. You feel me? So that's why my channel is called Let's Talk Everything for One Folk. We got a pretty video, man, and we got a real whistleblower telling us all the back ends, the front ends of, you know, the procedures that was taking place, how they was capturing and retrieving these UAP vehicles, you know, so on and so forth.
For better or for worse, the U.S. government and its agencies tend to paint themselves into a corner, and they're bound by their own regulations and rules of play, and which makes it extremely valuable to be able to outsource to folks who don't have to follow those same rules.
So you were operating outside of the normal rule book, but to be clear, there's nothing wrong with a covert role. The US government uses covert operators all the time.
Absolutely. It's 100% in the best interest of everyone in this country, and to maintain superiority from a national security standpoint, that we play the game that way.
And do you regard yourself as a patriot? Do you love
Absolutely. First and foremost, before anything else. And I'd like to be clear. Let's do this right now. I'd like you to know exactly what side I'm on. Firstly, I'm on the side of my family and my friends. Second, I'm on the side of the American people, and I'm on the side of the...
First off, let me let y'all know this right here. First and foremost, my family and my friends matter. And I notice a lot of these whistleblowers, they say it first. You know, and I think they really, because they know goddamn well saying what they saying can possibly, you know, get them thrown in jail for the rest of their lives, or even worse, or executed. You know, and that's scary in itself.
The government and the military third, and only as long as they're taking care of the first two.
In that time, when you were being trained, learning all these skills, did you have any idea about aliens?
No, not at all.
One way you can validate that you were doing special work is that you were actually recommended for a heroism medal, weren't you? The US Air Force Air Medal.
I was.
And you're not allowed to talk about that operation, are you?
No, there was a classified missions that took place in Bosnia. And, but every once in a while things showed up in my record. And at some point, I had the presence of mind to start making copies of certain things, which was a little nerve-wracking because it may have been illegal that I was in possession of certain things. But this was a letter recommendation that calls out my particular act of heroism.
Were you awarded that medal?
No, it was squashed by my case officer.
And do you think it was squashed because they didn't want you to be conspicuous?
Yeah, because what the hell would an aircraft mechanic be doing chasing war criminals in Bosnia?
And that's real life. What would you be doing? You feel me? Why would you be this in a war if you were an aircraft mechanic chasing, you feel me, war people in Bosnia? What's going on? Well, you don't nobody know about, you understand what I'm saying? That's why he couldn't let nobody know about that act of heroism award that he received, because they're gonna question it. They're gonna go deep behind that. Well, why did you receive that if you were an Air Force mechanic? What's going on? You know, let's go deep. Let's go deep.
Being so to the extent that he would find himself in a situation that would be worthy of a medal of heroism.
Now, you can't name the agency, the organization that you were working for, can you?
No.
You're forbidden by your DOPSA.
Forbidden.
At any stage during any of the training that you received, was anyone ever telling you that you were part of a government that was aware of the existence of non-human intelligence?
No, not at that time. And I'll have to tell you that everything changed for me right around 9/11. And I left the Air Force and basically made a left turn at Albuquerque, never part of the global war on terror. And quite literally made a left turn at Albuquerque, and was sent out to California at that time to begin establishing my cover basis for an independent contractor, so that I could serve what was coming down the line next for me. And that is the path which led to the UAP subject.
In your time in deployment,
Well, it seemed like he went through a lot before he even, recognized this non-human intelligence, the NHIs. You understand what I'm saying? I think a lot of these soldiers, my bad, a lot of these soldiers, they tell these same stories, and I've witnessed these stories being told. Like I said, if you go through the docs, if you go through some of the classified and unclassified docs, you will see a lot of these stories being told from all types of whistleblowers, which leave you screaming and wondering, is these stories true? Because the way they hide them, well, like he said, they can do anything, and everything in their power to, keep a hidden hand. And I think that's, part of the protocol. Obviously, that's part of the protocol,
met certain people from an aerospace company, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Now, it's also part of the constraints you operate under that you can't name that aerospace company.
Correct. There's no good reason to name them, even if I wasn't constrained.
What were they doing there?
Well, they were supporting us with some new weapons technology that could be used to disable vehicles and aircraft.
I could disclose this.
Yeah.
My understanding is that they were essentially using, it was actually, I think it's a matter of public record, that microwave weapons, pulse microwave weapons, were being used at that time.
Damn, pulse microwave weapons. And to me, if I'm correct, it sounds like the weapons that they were saying Trump used over there in Venezuela. And that's kind of deep, you know what I'm saying? Because that's the technology a lot of us possibly didn't know America was already using or capable of, or even had our hands on. But these microwave proportionate weapons are some of these weapons that, I've heard since the Venezuelan situation, was used, and it's crazy because like he just said, they was using microwave, weapons to knock down these aircrafts, to knock down these UAPs, which is kind of scary in itself. But as he go farther in the story, gang, he gonna tell y'all about some of the mechanisms and some of the mechanical systems that they was using, man-made and non-man-made, you feel me, to attract these EAPs also,
There were some early prototypes that were being used at that time. And I met individuals that were there representing the companies that were providing that service to the government, made some friends, and those relationships led to opportunities later in the California desert where I began my journey.
Before we go any further, had you ever, as a child, experienced any kind of anomalous phenomena yourself?
No.
This was completely off the books for you. It was complete revelation to you.
I mean, I was born in the 70s. I grew up a fan of Star Wars and Star Trek and Back to the Future. And
I'm sure we all did. A lot of us grew up fans of Star Wars and Back to the Future. Those were good shows. Those were real good shows that gave us an idealistic concept based around being able to travel farther outer space and into another galaxy, or being able to see other species, unlike ourselves, that travel upon Earth and possibly help humans advance, so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, I always wonder what inspired these people to create those type of movies. That used to be always on my mind, like, damn, what really inspired these people? What pushed them and drove them to create these type of videos and shows?
It certainly was a pleasant and fun idea, but during that same time, it was also very clear that the culture, it was clearly nostalgic, like the subject matter of UAP and non-human intelligence, which wasn't an acronym we used back then, aliens, let's say, that it was 100% a fictional story. So while I was interested in it, it was purely as an adolescent, from being interested by any other fictional subject.
Before we get into the nitty-gritty of what happened after 2001,
hey, I think a lot of us probably was interested in things like that, gang. I ain't gonna lie, when I was young, I used to always think like that too. Like, maybe there's something out there, you understand? Let it get to the and you got people like him.
let's talk about what you perceive are the rights and responsibilities of American citizens under your Constitution. As an enlisted man, did you swear an oath to the Constitution?
I sure did, yeah.
How much do you care about the ideas and the principles that are espoused in the US Constitution?
Those ideas are absolutely paramount. They come above everything else. Even though I mentioned my family and my friends are whose side I'm on first, I cannot facilitate protecting them without the fundamental nature of the US Constitution. So it is paramount to everything else.
Is it fair to say that the reason why you're speaking to us here today is because you think it's important that the American people be told about what we're going to disclose in accordance with the Constitution? Article 1 of the US Constitution enshrines the idea that all arms of government must be transparent and accountable to the Congress.
Mm-hmm.
Is that happening?
I can't really speak to that. From what we're being told, there is no evidence.
So basically, it's not happening. It ain't been happening in the last 30 years, man. This is an 80-year cover-up. That's what's being said right now today. This other species been on, to be on planet Earth, been 80 years. You understand that? They go so far for people that didn't believe it, people that didn't understand it, a while back, people that didn't, just catch on. They thought all them people in the 50s was tripping. The Roswell situation, they thought the bending water situation, it was all just a hoax. You understand what even a few whistleblowers on their deathbed, has stated that, look, hey, y'all, the government, we're working on a big hoax. We want the world to come together and join hands in the based idea of attacking these aliens, when in all naturality, the aliens is not here to attack anybody, but that's what, the people who want to keep this under the wraps, that's what's going on. They want to make it like a hoax. But if you even go deeper and pay attention, gang, you see how the general is still missing, the Air Force general who has so much knowledge on these UFOs, UAPs, and they still haven't found them. And then also him and a couple more people, 8 other people has died, within the last 9 months. Like, it's a lot taking place and going on. Y'all pay attention, keep your eyes open.
Terrestrial presence here. There is no evidence of non-human intelligence. There's a little bit of admittance and evidence that there's something anomalous in the sky flying around and we don't know what it is. So the bad news is I can't really help further that question that everyone wants answered. But the good news is I'm going to begin to be able to start answering that question. And that's the primary reason I'm here to speak to you today.
Do you think Congress is being misled, deceived about what is secretly known about?
I can answer that for him. Yeah, they is. When they first denied them the rights to check out these UAPs, when they denied them the clearance, you feel me, to understand, when they denied Obama the clearance to deeper understand these UAPs and the alien contact, we knew then that something deeper was going on. We knew then that somebody was going rogue. I don't know. I mean, it's obvious. It's obvious. And then we got some people out there that don't want to see it. Some people, they just keep the FaceTime. They don't want to see it. They don't want to know about it. Gang, I don't know what you're living under, a rock or something, but at the end of the day, this is the real world. Baby, you understand what I'm saying? This is the real world. And we got to get with it to get lost. That's what they showing us. Whistleblowers, they telling us this, like, get with it or get lost.
Non-human intelligence, alien life, engaging
it's clear they don't have the full story.
What's being held back?
A lot.
Just about everything. But there's another problem. I don't even know that they're giving it a proper attention to begin with. So unfortunately, Congress is very ignorant when it comes to the subject.
So very recently, the Pentagon spokesman assured press reporters in a Pentagon briefing that there is no evidence of extraterrestrial engagement with planet Earth. Is that true?
No, that's not true. Now, they like to hang their hat on some key words there, extraterrestrial. So that means outside of the planet Earth. And that is yet to be determined by my best understanding.
Damn, now we got to pay attention to these words. Now, I told y'all they like to use these words in things. That goes for outside the planet. He never said nothing about inside the planet. He never said nothing about beings on the inside of the planet. He didn't say nothing about the inner core of the planet. He didn't say nothing about on the planet Earth. But he did tell y'all, look, they go for extraterrestrials on the outside of the planet. What that mean then? It's a little bit, you know, it's some deeper shit going on, some deeper shit taking place then. That's what that mean to me. If you ask me, I ain't gonna lie.
So you're saying you know for a fact there are aliens?
Yes, 100%.
There are alien craft?
100%.
Have you been involved in the...
Look, I ain't gotta say nothing else. 100%. He said out his own mouth, he know for a fact there are aliens here. And alien craft, and they got them and they hide them. You understand what I'm saying? People been telling people this, man. It looks like this every time somebody gets close to this type of information, they don't believe it. They turn the other cheek. They think they talking crazy. They think the people has lost their mind. This shit is real, my nigga. Y'all think we the only motherfucker? I know for years, I used to always tell people that, look, we ain't the only species on planet Earth. We can't be the only species in the universe. I don't give a fuck what you're talking about. I don't care what you're talking about. If God made everything, then he made everything perfectly. And it just wouldn't be us. You understand me?
Delivery of those alien craft.
Well, Ross, yes, I have.
What would you tell a man who can scroll for hours but can't?
He said that with certainty. Yes, I have.
How does it feel to say that?
I'm kind of over it. Like, this has been a fact I had to get over. It wasn't easy when it first hit you. That was years ago. And it's actually quite therapeutic to get to talk about it. And I'm encouraged that it's becoming commonplace, because that's where it needs to be for us to move forward and start gathering some evidence. But
I think it'll be hard to move forward in a commonplace, because just check this. It's a lot of people right now that already got the wrong idea about these aliens. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of people who got the wrong idea. They got the wrong notion. They think these aliens here to harm us. They think all of the above. You know what I'm saying? Dr. Stephen Greer, for those of y'all that don't know, or if you know about Dr. Stephen Greer, go check him out. He wrote a few books, him and his wife. He got a team going to where they got a CE5 contact going on. I even have this app on my phone for those of y'all who never seen it. You feel me? The CE5 app. That's the CE5 app. You understand what I'm saying? The contact app. How you contact these ETs, these aliens. And at the end of the day, to use the app, you gotta have it's a whole bunch in this man that take place with these things, right? So like I said, they trying to trick us into believing these things is trying to kill us, harm us, hurt us. You know, but when you hear these whistleblowers, these people who used to work in the Air Force, they flying past these crafts. You feel me? They working with governmental officials who's talking about these crafts, telling you how they, you feel me, captured these crafts and retrieved these vehicles back. As they describe it, they say you got to be, you know, use your intuition and consciousness. You got to have love. You got to feel a lot of love when you dealing with these aliens. And they don't call them aliens. They call them non-human intelligence. You understand what I'm saying? That's different. It's almost like when they pick a UFO to
intend to do.
So you're building up a cover in California shortly after 9/11. What are you doing?
Well, I'm doing a number of things. One, trying to fill out a sensible explanation for my backstory. I mentioned one of the clubs I was in was Pilot Club, and you'll speak to my good friend Don Paul here shortly, who I met during that time. But there's no record of that. So I actually, one of the first things I did is I had to go to commercial pilot school in order to create a legitimate training record so that I could operate in an official capacity this time as a helicopter pilot.
So you'd
They
learn.
got him, doing secretive classes and doing secretive shit to get certain clearances because they know him as the Air Force mechanic. He don't even supposed to be over here operating. You hear me? And now they gotta get him to do certain secretive shit, and then the secretive shit that he do, it can't even be classified. It can't even be shown because for one, you don't supposed to be over here. For two, they're gonna question you. You understand what I'm saying? And it's gonna. So that tells you what the Army always keeps some secretive shit going on. The government always got some secretive top flight security ass fucking mission going on that they never want to alert nobody of, gang. And then when the whistleblowers get to coming out and popping his information, people act like they didn't know what was going on. Come on, man, you don't know.
How to fly as a covert operator, but they didn't give you a license for it in the military.
No.
Because you weren't allowed to have that qualification because that would undermine your cover, I suppose.
Correct.
So you had to go and pretend to not be a pilot in order to get your commercial pilot.
Yeah, that was loads
it's gonna undermine his coverage. It's gonna undermine his coverage. It's gonna blow his coverage, gang. What type of shit is that? But they want to go and do what you gotta do. Get this information, get these licenses that you need, and just make sure you don't blow your coverage. Make sure you stay undercover, get in, learn what you need to know, and get the hell out of there. You feel me? That's all we want to do. Sound a little dicey. Sound dicey.
Fun, actually. I found it quite challenging to pretend I didn't know how to fly. So it was amusing. Yeah.
You must have blitzed it.
Well, pretending to be bad was quite easy in the beginning. The hardest part was faking a natural learning curve. So how to show that I'm getting better in a progression that they've seen before. So that was fun. A few times I took the liberty to mess with my flight instructor, but he just thought I got lucky.
So this happened for what, a couple of years?
Yeah, a number of things were done. So one of the rules we go by is that legitimacy is the best cover. So in order to provide a certain utility to the government by way of a contractor, I have to go and establish a lot of legitimate businesses. I have to function.
That sounds like a regular criminalistic lifestyle, man. You said legitimacy is the best policy, meaning, you feel me, when you're working with the government at these types of levels, of security and these types of level of clearance, you got to look legitimate. You got to look all the way legit. You feel me? That way they don't got no reason to question what you're doing, question how you doing it, question when you're doing it. Now that sounds just like a criminal-minded motherfucker if you ask me. If you ask me, that sounds like a person who's going to rob a bank. Instead, they thinking real strategically about what they finna do, how they finna do it. That's deep. But see, with these Army people, they got the rights, they got the eligibility to do it. You feel me? That's what's fucked up. Like, damn, it's legal.
In a legitimate way under existing contracts to build a cover. A cover is not a hollow shell. It has to be layers deep. And the best way to have many layers of cover is to just go do something genuine to begin with.
So let's be clear about this. You're a very financially successful businessman in your own right. You've done well in business.
Yes.
You are not being paid by us or anyone to do this interview.
No.
In fact, you're deriving no financial benefit or in-kind benefit at all from doing this interview with me. Why are you speaking to us today?
Well, because I've got some good news, okay? So I know everyone's been waiting for people like me to speak out, and we haven't been doing.
We ain't getting the information from the people. We ain't getting it from where we supposed to get it from. Congress ain't giving it to us quick enough. You feel me? They didn't ask for these UFO records and all these alien documents to be released. And what happened? The goddamn Air Force general, he go missing. And then a whole bunch of other people wind up dead that know a lot of information about this, UAP or UFO situation. It's starting to make me wonder a little bit about the 3-Eye Atlas, mothership they was talking about. Like, is this part of the whole thing? Or do they know more than what, they telling us? And it sounds like they is because, it was just some other government official person who just came out and said that when they asked for the rights and the clearance to know this information, they said, no, we will not give it to you. Now, that was deep. To me, that was deep. They should have been shut down, but obviously in the government, you got joints. You got a shoulder joint, an elbow joint, and a fingertip joint. And right now, the fingertip joints is working. The shoulder joint is the one that's carrying out the orders, but it's the elbow joint, somebody on the elbow joint who wants something else done. And he can drastically get things changed to where the top joint is wiped out. And that's for the fingertips. You understand what I'm saying? If you know, pay attention. You know, pay attention, man.
The past several years, there's been a lot going on. And I'm very pleased to share that we are moving forward in an official and transparent capacity to explore the answer to these questions that there appears to be no evidence for. And our number one goal now is to function in a private capacity with the backing of venture capitalists and in coordination with some of the most key departments in the government in order to start answering these questions in a transparent way related to the UAP topic.
Are you a front?
Am I a front?
Yeah, I mean, you've worked, obviously, in counterintelligence. You're a
You, Jack, and you up here just for what? Did you here to just, did they send you? Because you got to ask them that. They're going to just be there to throw, the whole concept of this exposure off. They can, and a lot of people think that this UAP, UFO documentation release of shit is to throw everybody off from the Epstein files. But, let me let y'all in on a little secret. In the Epstein files, they also was talking about time traveling. They was talking about UFOs, UAPs. They was talking about other species, interdimensions. You feel me? It's not a thing. And now, of course, everybody think Epstein is not dead, allegedly. Like he faked his death or the government faked it. I don't know. One of the two. But hopefully from these whistleblowers, we get a lot of our answers, for the information that we've been needing. Because it's crazy, man, how they got this shit going right now. It's wild, man.
Intelligence operative. Is this some kind of disinformation propaganda operation?
No, and I'm going to say no, and I'm going to tell you I'm not lying to you, but unfortunately, there's no way that I can convince you of that if that's what you're thinking.
A lot of people watching this will be thinking, you can never trust a spook. There's obviously wheels within wheels. This is part of some official government disclosure operation.
Yeah.
Is it?
No, it's not. And again, I'm not going to be able to make you believe that. But what I can invite you to do is, I'll paraphrase the book of Matthew. You will know us by our fruits. So I'd like to invite you to stay tuned in and watch what our new project is about to do and prepare to be dazzled.
So you're part of a team that is proposing to do private retrievals of alien technology.
Yes.
And you've got the backing for it?
Yes.
That's
wow.
deep.
So let's talk about now.
That's deep right there, man.
You do know.
Okay.
I only know one person who really standing strong on this shit right now. Dr. Stephen Greer. Dr. Stephen Greer, he's been real tough on this alien exposure thing. Like I said, when he went so far to even create the goddamn app, you knew it was something deep behind this, and you knew it was something that they was trying to cover up, most likely. But at the end of the day, when you get people that is this bold and, have this much balls to take and risk their life, their family, their career, and put it on the line, you know what I'm saying, to let you know what's taking place, then, I think it only calls for to give them an open ear and understand them, you feel me, from the seat they sit in or the shoes, you feel me, that they feel. Like, come on, man. Only thing we can do.
When you finally secured your pilot's training in the commercial world, what happened?
While I was getting my pilot's training, I was also working to set up a number of businesses in order to pursue government contracts from the DOI, the DOD, and all the organizations.
Y'all remember that you got to stay looking when you put the work of this type of plan. And knowing he was an Air Force mechanic, he cannot slip up. You got to have a whole bunch of legitimate businesses and legitimate licenses and contracts so he can stay in the clear without being scoped. You understand what I'm saying? Without blowing his cover.
And departments within those. And mostly what we did, a lot like in the 90s, the cover capacity takes up the most of your time is spent operating in the cover capacity.
So you were working in legitimate businesses, earning a living like everybody else?
Like everyone else.
You're just waiting for the call.
Waiting for the call. The incidental benefits of the capabilities of the companies you set up are those benefits that are on standby to be deployed in the subject matter of UAPs.
So you've set up all those legitimate businesses. When did you get the call?
So as a helicopter operator, we provide a number of services to a number of departments within the military industrial complex. And that includes the Department of the Interior as well as the DOI. The Department of the Interior has a number of other departments within it, and we worked mostly in those for our CONUS, or within the continental United States. Those operations include things like firefighting, long haul, short haul, which is our external loads for helicopters,
Well, it's not like they do
working
a lot.
for the BIA.
It's not like they do a lot, including things that's outside of that range. You know what I'm saying? Of the job description that he just described. Like, it do sound like whatever they tell you to go do, you got to do it. You know, even if that's a secretive mission that y'all probably got to go over to the commander head or the general head, you got to go do it. You got to carry out these goddamn orders. I think that put a lot of people between the rock and the hard spot, because they like, shit, I signed up for this. You know, because I even heard another gentleman speaking about how sickly a lot of soldiers got, and they were sickly behind dealing with these HVT retrievals. And while they doing these HVT retrievals, they being in contact with all sorts of radiation and things of that nature, and it's causing all types of physical damage. And that's scary. It's the type of damage that they never seen before. Things happening to their bodies that's not earthly. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of these whistleblowers speaks about these things, and it's crazy. It's crazy.
Of Indian affairs, anything you could do to provide utility, anything that you could do with the utility of a helicopter, we were put to task on.
Now, at this stage, there was no indication of any anomalous phenomena at all.
No.
When did you first start becoming aware of strange objects in the sky during your work?
Well, a lot of the work we did on...
That's what I want to hear, the juicy part, gang. Like, when did you start with
was on what I call the range. And the range is a particular geographical area where the U.S. government and its private partners use to test all kinds of things, weapon systems and resilience to weapon systems of certain craft. And so you see a lot of exciting things. And I have to remind you that my particular role is very basic: security and transportation. It gets a little broad as you drill down, but I'm a security and transportation expert, and that's the service we broadly provided to the government and its partners.
So you,
unless they want you to do more, like I said. If they ask you to do more, you gotta believe you're gonna do something else, gang. They ain't finna what? Listen, you here for why we want you here. You're gonna do what the fuck we want you to do, or else. You feel me? We get your ass son back to the damn the camp, back to the yard, and they gonna get you out of here. Simple as that. So that's the scary thing about dealing with these governments, gang. Dealing with them when you signed up for it. So shit, you can't deny it, right?
You start seeing at the range,
yes,
interesting objects.
Well, yeah, it's always interesting out there. It was a process for me getting to the point until we had our first experience with something that was obviously non-human in origin. But up until that time, there's lots of interesting things in the sky. I can tell you that our technology, and by our, I mean anything that lies within the inventory of the United States government and its private partners, is pretty spectacular. There's some cool things. And from an observer,
he said basically America got some goddamn gadgets out there. For those of y'all that don't know, for those of y'all that think everything is, you feel me, from outer space of some sort, gang, he's saying basically he know for a fact our technology that we got, the skills that we got, gang, is magnificent. You feel me? It'll blow your mind. You know, like 99.99% of everybody out there possibly wouldn't believe that this was our technology. That's crazy. But it goes back to say though, you know, we heard a few scientists, a few people, a few whistleblowers, you know, years ago state that we have technology that goes beyond human time, that goes beyond time that we can, you know, imagine. And that's scary in itself. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Point on the ground, it's hard to tell exactly what's going on. Things come in and out of sight. Things disappear for a moment and reappear. Things
disappear for a moment and reappear. What the fuck? Things come in and out of sight. What the hell? He said basically on the range when they doing these tests and practices, you see all types of magical shit. You understand what I'm saying? You describe it right now as magical. Things disappear and reappear. That alone is magical. That spells MAGIC all over. Witchcraft or whatever wizardry he doing, you know, but this explains how far the government can go and what type of technologies and powers that, you know, lies under our eyes that we never seen or know about, man.
Seem to move very quickly. Things change color, they change shape. And a good reference for this is, I'm sure we've all seen these drone shows like they could put on at the Super Bowl halftime or other places. And those are pretty amazing to see, visually amazing. But we all know that's human tech and we accept it. But if you kind of think about that and think about perhaps what we might be doing privately, in the interest of national security, your imagination could fill in the blanks on what you might see on a test range that's being used by the US government and its partners.
I mean, I guess we all expect that there's technology that we don't know about that's being kept confidential for very good reasons, because the United States doesn't want foreign adversaries to know that it has an aerospace advantage,
Sure,
or a weapons advantage over a potential rival.
I can imagine that some foreign governments already know. I can imagine, you know, we got whistleblowers. I can imagine we got spies that's personally over here, that's personal, you know, to the mission of spying on Americans, spying on the government, spying on the Defense Department and everything else, to understand us more and to verify what they heard or seen. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure of it, because if we can do it, if we can send people over there to understand them and check out what they got, all the shit, all the technology and all the drones and all the, you know what I'm saying, the extra nanotech or advanced, like, come on, gang, I know they can do it to us, and I'm sure they have done it. I'm sure possibly it's been some of our own people who done traded on us, you know what I'm saying, and gave out information, and, you know, I'm sure of it. I'm sure of it.
Yep.
And were you telling yourself that for a long time when you started seeing anomalous objects on the range?
Yeah, because just like it is now, you kind of have to train yourself. Even once you become a believer in the UAP subject, and you take some folks outside who are believers and they look up, they get really excited and falsely identify a satellite as a UAP or something else in the sky, an airplane that has, you might not be able to see its position lights or its strobe.
So you know what Louis Elizondo has described as the 5 observables.
Yes.
Instantaneous speed, incredible hypersonic speeds, transmedium travel, water to air, air to water, positive lift, some kind of propulsion system that isn't explained by conventional systems, and stealth. So you were seeing objects that complied with those weird observables.
Yes. And at that time, you would also see things when you talk about the, the transmedium. So one of those that would raise your eyebrow is more of the transmedium characteristics, because things would come from the ground, like from the earth, from a ridge, from a mountain, or could pass through.
So they'd come out of a ridge.
Out of a ridge.
What the fuck? That is crazy. I thought I heard it all, gang. He said they come from the ground, like through the earth. He said the transmedium shit will blow your mind. It'll raise your eyebrows, because when you start seeing this shit come actually through the ground itself, straight out and full, you understand what I'm saying? That's going to blow your mind. But these are some of the things that they are seeing on the range, where the U.S. government practice these types of practices, where they study these types. To understand that itself is deep. To understand that and to peep how, you know, like, because I can't even wrap my head around this, honestly. I'm like, dude, they telling us either, you know, and don't get it twisted, they telling us this is the technology that we are you know what I'm saying, experiencing coming into Earth. But also we have reverse engineered some of the same technology and has been using it for our own usage without telling the public, without telling Congress, without telling the government, without anybody clearing it. You understand?
Now, that is clearly technology that is certainly not known.
Now, again, that is the visual understanding of what you're seeing.
And was that human technology? You just don't know.
I just don't know. That I do not know.
So there came a time, though, where you began to realize that this was something else.
Well, let me add to, we also know of circumstances, and you'll speak to some of my teammates here, where we did recover things that were exotic in nature in the sky, and we know they were classified craft, and we recovered them and took them back to where they go, and that was a regular thing.
So there are things that we're trying to protect that are far beyond what we know about publicly.
Yeah, much like everything in my story that we're talking about, 80 to 90% of the time, it's very ordinary and boring once you get acclimated to the lifestyle. It's but for a 5 or 10% that is the most outrageous and exciting time of your life. But the majority of what we see and do is explainable and is ordinary and is known by many people and is not classified. But there is a certain percentage which is extremely sensitive, and that extremely sensitive bit does include what we know is our own man-made advanced technology. And we work to our recovery efforts. If this is where we're going with the conversation, when we look at a recovery mission or a crash recovery team, you don't put together a team like that with the intent of recovering non-human craft. That team is trained and provided the training and tools and technology to conduct a recovery mission for a number of objects and craft.
So that right there alone is different, man. He basically telling everybody, like, look, man, you wasn't supposed to send a team like us to recover these type of crafts, but we do get called to recover all types of, crafts, whether they non-human, whether they man-made advanced crafts, so on and so forth, which is understandable because, like I just told y'all, America was reverse engineering a lot of these UFOs or UAP, as the government call them now. And we was using them for our own good, We was weaponizing them, flying them through the air. I ain't gonna lie, they were scaring the shit out of people. People, oh shit, they go UFO. Whole time is our scientists, is our government. It's a paid program that's taking place. You feel me? That's being carried out. And a lot of times we didn't know. Nobody ever knew. But like he gonna also explain, there's a lot of things that was taking place at these times in certain areas, high sea areas, and they are able also to call these things. They are able to, you feel me, basically make a frequency call, what they call a dog whistle. I never heard of that, but it sends a signal to these UAPs and they come down. You know what I'm saying? Literally.
In the rare occasion, or let's say the hypothetical occasion, something of a non-human origin or source were to interface with the ground, you would deploy that same team. And that is the segue in how we got involved with this particular subject.
So tell me about the moment when you realized that you were involved in a retrieval of non-human technology, alien tech.
So it became very clear the first time we recovered something that was non-human in origin, that it was precisely what we were dealing with. Our communications changed. Our communication process and procedure was modified. It was also clear to everyone on the team that what we were dealing with was something that was unexpected versus expected. And then just visually looking at the object on the ground, you could tell that it was extraordinary and anomalous. It was not human.
How close?
Whatever they were looking at, it never was human. You could tell. Because you could tell looking at the object on the ground that it wasn't. It even goes so far to a story been told about a whistleblower. He was telling the story about the egg, the white egg, that they was able to call down from the skies, and they played the frequency at the high sea, altitude, and it came down. They even, got another story where the Tic Tac, I believe it was, came from the sky at what was it, 3,000 miles per hour? Like, I'm talking about fast speed, but it came down so far and then it went back up. But the fact that they are able to call these things, the fact that they have engineered machines, based around the frequency of obtaining a type of result from the ETs is miraculous. But why would you still hide that from the government? Why would you hide that from the public? Make that make sense.
What did you get?
Well, I was a helicopter pilot, and I operate with 150 foot to 200 foot long line. So I got within 150 feet of this object.
What did you see?
I saw an egg, a white egg.
How large was the object?
I would say approximately 20 feet, plus or minus a little bit, about the size of a large SUV.
Did it have any seams?
No.
What? And it was pure white.
It was like pearly white, like a metallic pearly white, the best I could assess.
I mean, what you're describing sounds like something out of a TV show.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, fortunately, I'm going to share some images with you, and you can see one of these flying in the sky, if you like, in broad daylight.
So you actually...
He's going to share some images. You can see it flying in the sky, broad daylight. Now, this is these Air Force pilots and these, Marines and military people experience, and they are told to never say nothing. If you open your mouth, we'll do something to you. We'll have something done to you. And unfortunately, they can't tell nobody, not even their family, not even their wife, not even their mom. You understand what I'm saying? Because they sign NDA stating that, look, I will not talk about anything that takes place while I'm here. And what's crazy is these people go into these situations thinking they just finna go protect the country, protect, the civilians from terrorists and things like that. But the whole time they are searching for aliens. The whole time they got these people dealing with ETs. The whole time they got these people out there in a position of acting like they're attacking these aliens. Man, these aliens are, coming back. They're giving these people radioactive bodily harm, however that may sound or seem. But to me, that's what it seemed like. It seemed like, damn, the government, the moment they send somebody out there, them people end up hurt, they fucked up, they physically got a problem, they don't know what's the problem. Docs can't even come up with a cure. That's scary. But like he said, we seen this object, the white egg is pearly white looking. And at the end of the day, they know it's not earthly because, they never seen nothing of this origin, nothing of this species on planet Earth. And these the type of people who go search far and wide for things like this. You understand me?
Saw it in the sky before it?
No, not this one. But in our new venture, we've already begun work, and we're capturing sensor data of the exact same craft flying in the sky.
How did you know that egg-shaped object was non-human in origin?
Well, visually, after seeing all kinds of things in my past, it was clearly something that was ridiculously looking. It's inconsistent with anything I'd ever seen before. I can also tell you that the reaction by my team, who was very experienced, was atypical. We changed we modified our entire process for recovery that night. Our community,
but everything got modified that night, gang. Once we changed everything, the plan, how we retrieving the shit, how we approaching it. We ain't finna approach it like, okay, you know what, we just gonna listen to the general, we're gonna go at it guns down. He said, no, we changed and modified everything because you had to. Definitely seeing some shit like that if this your first time. And what's funny, a lot of times when they see these people out there on the missions, the generals and whoever the mission plan to be, they know damn well where they sending these soldiers. They know these soldiers and these lieutenants are gonna see something. They gather a group of them who never seen any of these things, who never seen no anomalies. And at the end of the day, they send them out there. Here, go on that mission. You understand? We want to try to retrieve this. And at some point in time, because we see in movies, these groups, they be asking questions. Hey, Lieutenant, hey, Sarge, what is this? What is this? Do this supposed to take place? Well, there supposed to be people here. Who we working for? Whole time they never get answered. They never get responded to. They get treated like, hey, look, you You're a mutt. You listen to what I'm saying. You get the job done and you come back. That's it. That's all. No questions. And that right there, man, that's scary, gang. You put yourself definitely dealing with these people. Like you said, you signed up for it, so this is something you gotta accept this.
Communication process changed. We all knew we were dealing with something extraordinary. And in addition to that, it has also been verified by me, by high-ranking members of the UAP task force, that what we recovered that night was in fact known NHI craft.
So the implications of that are actually quite...
Okay, what they recovered that night was a known NHI craft, gang. That is, take it or leave it, but that's crazy. Now, if the government was to come out with the story, then they'd tell you, oh, that was just, a man-made craft that we recovered, so on and so forth. But damn well that you just put it out, man, this is NHI.
Shocking. It means the government's lying to us, which shouldn't come as any surprise to us, but we're being lied to.
I can't comment on that because I don't know what the government knows. This operation, I just can't comment to that because...
Do you think it's possible that there are even senior people in the Pentagon who aren't aware of what you know?
Absolutely. There are senior people in all branches of government that are unaware what's going on at the bottom.
So when Air Force General Pat Ryder speaks at a press briefing in the Pentagon and says there is no...
I'm like, it's a lot of rogue shit going on in there. Like the government got a lot of rogue business being handled inside it, and it seemed like nobody is willing to come out and talk about it. Nobody willing to push the brakes on that shit and go, you know what I'm saying, alert nobody. And it seemed like also when you do go alert somebody, you come up missing, like the Air Force General that just came up missing. Like, what the hell? That's deep. It seemed like the moment you get to go on to alert somebody, you come up missing, they find you dead. Like, it's different, man. The world is crazy, but the government is even crazier.
Evidence of extraterrestrial visitation or engagement with planet Earth, he might actually be telling the truth because he hasn't been read in like you would.
Correct.
Now, you have what's called, I understand, a top secret SCI clearance. You have compartmented intelligence clearance for certain programs.
My clearance is given like on as needed basis. So like when I go, it's not like I go, there's no record of me having top secret clearance anywhere. But I get...
Well, there is, because in the documents that you've showed us, there is one document that shows a NATO top secret clearance. And what does that mean?
That means you are cleared to the highest level that you need to be in order to function in the capacity that you've been assigned on a particular mission.
That's deep. That's a lot of clearance, man, for an air component. That's a lot of clearance, and I wonder why nobody ever questioned that clearance. You know what? I know why now, because he said it earlier. He said he had to do things legitimately because he didn't want to blow his cover. He didn't want, the government already knew, look, go do this, get those licenses, get this certificate, and you are good to go, gang, because we don't need your cover blown. Also while his cover is not being blown, they sending him on a top secret, a top classified or unclassified, whatever the hell you want to call it, mission, to where even he can't know about it. Like, that's deep. That's scary, but it's deep. And this is what they sign our people up for to go talk about. They protecting the country, man. They protecting y'all lives. That's what they doing.
And it's quite a high clearance.
It's a very high clearance.
And so the best effort was done to secure your cover, and as part of protecting that cover, it wasn't allowed to be known that you had high clearances. But what you have been able to demonstrate to us is that you were in fact given high clearances as part of your role.
Yeah, the clearances kind of accompanied me like a shadow. If I got deployed on a particular mission, let's use an aircraft, an HVT mission, for example.
High value target.
High value target. I spent a lot of time.
Target, man. I don't know if y'all know about those HVTs, man. High value targets. You know what's crazy in the video games? You always have to chase an HVT. If it was NFL, if it was Ghost Recon, Army, the Call of Duty games, you have to go after an HVT, a high value target. And sometimes you never knew what the high value targets was. Now in the game, they showed you it was always a gun pack. It's always a box that give you some of the most exclusive guns, grenades, a vest, all this extra shit, an extra life packet. You feel what I'm saying? But in these type of situations, I bet you they HVT packages was totally different, and it probably wasn't for them. It probably wasn't no upgrade for the soldier, no shit like that. I wonder what it was. What y'all think? When we find out.
He's living out of a hotel room at Pope Air Force Base with a pager. That was our technology back then. So I'll give you a short story that'll tie this together. So a typical situation for me would be told to go stay at the lodging on base, and I could travel to the chow hall, I could travel to the gym, but I had to stay within that response area. We would have a sealed aircraft. A sealed aircraft is an aircraft that has been configured and swept, and then a metal seal goes on the door to where if that door is open or broken, we know someone has entered that aircraft in an unauthorized capacity. So we'd have a sealed aircraft there. If we got dispatched, I would go to an aircraft. There would be manifests that go with that aircraft that would list all the crew members, their security clearances, and a rough description as to the mission. At those times, the crew would be briefed, security clearances would be issued to that crew, and anytime I was on a HVT mission that was highly sensitive, I would operate under what is known as a NATO top secret security clearance. And there are documents, a few documents that I was able to make copies of that show that.
And indeed, the document that you've showed us shows very clearly that you and the pilot were the only people on board the plane that had a NATO top secret clearance.
Yeah, probably the reason he was assigned is because I was there. So not to sound arrogant, but
but it make a lot of sense. Shit, he said what he said. He ain't got this phone up. Probably the reason he there is because I was there. I don't know if he there to watch me or if he there to, what I'm saying, make sure and see me through with the job. But
the fact that I was being deployed on that mission meant that the aircraft commander also needed to be read in to a certain degree, which would require that clearance.
And it's part of the reason why they keep your clearances secret in that covert role, so that they have plausible deniability if you ever did decide to speak publicly.
Yeah. Here's the funny thing. Like, the U.S. government can make a bunch of rules in order to create a scaffolding that keeps things intact, but they make a bunch of rules so that they can break them and hack the system and get around them. It provides great obscurity to create the rules.
But he said they make a bunch of rules so they can break them, gang. That's different. When you're dealing with a government who makes a bunch of rules so they can break them, man, that's some scary shit, because you don't know, how far this government willing to go. Say if they even go so far and say, you know what, we done with you. You served us your purpose. We don't want to utilize you no more. You can go about your business, but they also have a feeling you're gonna tell. Man, they can kill you. They already made the decision, so they can go ahead and make up the story where he died in action, whatever the case may be. That's some spooky shit. So it's like dude just asked them, you think they made these rules so just in case one of y'all decided to go tell that they got their ass covered? Yeah, of course. They make those kind of rules, but only so they can bend them. You understand what I'm saying? That's it.
Separate the known from the unknown. And I want to add one comment here is, when we're talking about circumstances like the first time we recovered a UAP, which was the flying egg, that immediately, regardless of where you were or what level of security you're operating under at the time, when that shows up, you're instantly now in a top secret classified situation, regardless of people's clearance.
So before you flew out that day to go and do the recovery of the egg, what were you told?
I was told that we were going out to do our normal thing. We were going to provide range security.
You see what he said? What were you told? And he asked him that because for two reasons, I think. Because he know for a fact sometimes they tell you a whole different story of why you're going out there, why you're being deployed. It'd be a different story. They never tell you the full script of why you're really out there to do this job. Okay, you're like, damn, what I'm going out here for? Well, you finna go out here, you finna get some coverage for Lieutenant Dan. Lieutenant Dan needs some coverage on the range. They're gonna do a little practice. And the whole fucking time, like I said, the big heads who send you out there, they know what's up. They know why you going out there. You feel me? This should be a joke on you. You know what I'm saying? It'd be a bad joke on you. And at the end of the day, you don't get a punchline at the end. So like he said, when they send them out there, he looking around like, damn, what's really going on? He can't really ask the teammates because they just clues him. I don't know. Shit, They told me the same thing.
And we transport crew, and we're doing our normal range work.
You weren't told that this was an anomalous craft that was clearly of non-human origin.
No, and I genuinely believe no one else knew this was going to happen either.
It was a shock to everyone.
I think it was a shock to everyone.
And at no stage were you ever subsequently told that the craft was...
This type of work be shocking. Because for one, we ain't finna tell you what we had secretly planned. We probably already planned this shit. We probably just planned every night. We wanted to tell y'all, you and your crew out there, you and your crew gonna handle this because we know y'all best fit. You know, y'all best fit. But what's crazy about this story is though, when y'all discover how and the techniques they use to find the people to call these UFOs down, that's the craziest part. That was the most crazy. You know, and I was like, damn. So that's really something y'all been hiding from the world, the government. Like, you know how strong consciousness is and how strong intuition is with a little bit of love. You know what I'm saying? That's deep. But check him out, man.
Of human origin.
No.
So how do you know it wasn't human? How do you know that we don't have top secret tech that is shaped like an egg?
Right. Well, I'll tell you that because of the reaction of my leadership structure and because of my experience working in that capacity, everyone involved was convinced that what we were seeing and dealing with was, in fact, exotic in its origin. I will also tell you that during this process over the last couple of years, it's been confirmed to me by ranking members of the UAP task force that what we were working with that night was in fact NHI, and it was not a unique experience.
NHI, non-human intelligence. Simple as that. He ain't got to say no more. He just said it. He just said it. He said we know, and from questioning the other higher ranking people on his team, they told him, yeah, we was dealing with an NHI gang, a non-human intelligence. Simple as that. You either be killed or you don't, but you already signed up for it, and we got to continue the job. You know, we got to continue the job. Now, they already out here knee deep in this mission, gang, and they ain't got no choice but to carry on with the mission because as a soldier, that's what you signed up for. You got to carry on with the mission, get them out. Whether you shit it on yourself or not, you guys to carry out this mission. You understand?
Egg, as we're referring to, is known by, and there have been many others that have encountered this type of craft in our atmosphere, outside of our atmosphere.
He didn't say this only craft, this type of craft, meaning there's been other aircrafts like it that is NHIs that has been in our atmosphere. You understand what I'm saying? That's deep. Now, some of the ones they been shooting at and shit, they tried to shoot a Hellfire missile at one and it bounced off, gang. Why is y'all trying to bother them things? Leave them alone. If they ain't here attacking y'all, leave them be.
Sphere, broad day, nighttime, all over the place.
You got a good look at this object, didn't you?
Yeah.
Was there any visible propulsion system on it?
No, not what we would know. There's no engine. There was no thermal signature. I was operating at night when I finally came in to pick it up. So I'm working under night vision goggles at the time.
So check this, man. This the part. This get deep right here, right? This let me know a different story about these things, and a different connection has been unveiled to me between ETs and human beings, because the story he explained, you feel me, about him picking up this aircraft that night, you know, it was different. It wasn't like they explain on TV, or it wasn't like they explain on these videos. You know, they make these ETs seem real attackful, real agitated. Like, you know, if you end up seeing them, they'll what they call it, abduct you, they'll kidnap you, and this, that, and the other. But check the story he tells. You feel me? When he explained how and what happened when they picked this thing up. Check it out, man.
And it was quite clear. I flipped them up, flipped them down, and looked at it a couple of different ways.
Was there a thermal signature?
There was not a thermal signature.
So it wasn't hot?
No.
No. You know, the general laws of thermodynamics, you know, if an object's been flying or driving an engine, it's going to show heat, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
So how do you think that object was being propelled?
Well,
listen,
that's a great question that we're looking forward to exploring with our new venture.
So when you went back to base, Was it the sort of job where you could go to your bosses and say, hey, listen, what was that object that I picked up, that strange-looking egg thing?
No, that's not quite how it works.
When I no damn questions in the army. Yeah, fuck you up there. Boy, that hang your ass. You asking what?
Back to what you would call my base. When I go back to our facility, that's back to my normal working business. And the people that are involved there have really no idea what's going on when I'm holding myself out for work for the government.
So this is how the compartmentalization system works.
Yeah.
It's a need to know. There was no need for the people that you were working with to know, so they weren't briefed in.
Yes.
And you only found out incidentally because you saw it on the range.
Right.
So let's keep on going. That's twigged your interest. For the first time, you've seen something that does appear genuinely anomalous. When was the next occasion when you became aware of anomalous non-human technology?
Well, there's another craft that we recovered that I can talk about, and that craft was what we referred to as an 8-gon. An 8-gon is basically a disc-shaped object that, when viewed from the top, has 8 different symmetrical sections that are delineated by some form of ridge.
So it's an octagon-shaped disc.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yeah, that's crazy, gang. I never heard of the 8-gon. You know what I'm saying? I never heard of it. I never heard of that. I heard of the track and a few other ones, but 8-gon look different. And I wouldn't be surprised if I didn't hear it because, like I said, a lot of these names, pictures, videos, photos, they haven't been released, and we know why, for a specific purpose. You know, I don't know if they want to weaponize it. I don't know what's taking place, but at the end of the day, I know it get deeper than this, though, man. It get way deeper than this.
By any chance, was there a nickname for the egg?
Yeah, the egg we actually called Nanus, like from the Mork and Mindy show from the 70s, because it's ridiculous. That's exactly what it looked like. And so it's funny when you look back at what may have been the motivation for the 1970s, because where else would an egg is a ridiculous idea for a guy from Mork from Ork, right? So you have Mork from Ork who flew to Earth in an egg. It surely gives credit to the idea that some like to think that perhaps there was a PR program that utilized our fascination with Hollywood and television to paint pictures of actual fact as fiction,
right?
Making it now some weird hybrid you could call faction.
Which they do it all the time. They paint, facts and fiction, and they make you think none of it's real. They put it in cartoons, they put it in movies, and they do it all the time. They mix your brain, they kind of brainwash you into believing like, man, maybe that's some shit from a movie. Somebody been watching too much TV. Because if y'all notice, when these type of topics get brought up, that's the first thing people say. You been watching real too much TV. Well, in all actuality, where do you think these shows come from? Where do you think they get the ideas from? They get the ideas from the people who've seen this shit, or people who's been with people who've seen this shit. These billionaires who create these shows. And at the end of the day, if they got this much money to create these shows, you got to know they dealing with people who've seen this shit, got ideas, and they fed these stories to them. And they say, hey, yo, let me use that idea, the story you told me about them aliens, and I'm going to turn that into a movie. You make some money off of it. You ain't telling them that. Why not?
What time of day or night was it when you came across the octagonal object, the 8-gon?
We did recovery on that both day and night.
So talk me through it. What happens?
Stop wasting hours building automations.
Boys out there working hard day and night, man. That's different. That's different.
You're in your chopper?
Yeah, I'm in my chopper.
What sort of chopper?
At the time, it was a Bell 212, which is the same as a UHN1. It's a twin-engine, twin-bladed Bell helicopter.
You're flying at night?
Flying at night, yeah.
What time at night?
Oh, God. I don't remember. Like after midnight.
Have you been given any pre-flight briefing?
I'm the one who would be given the briefing, but we are given a loadout on the particular object. That when you're flying an external load, we designate 2 different sites. One's called the drop site, one's called the pick site, you could say. The pick site is where the payload is that you're flying in to pick up. As you're making your first trip into the pick site, the payloads are already rigged and manifested for you to prepare them for flight.
Well, basically, the payload is the item that's going to be picked up for those of you that don't know. What's the payload? The payload is at him that it's going to be picked up. Basically, he talking about the UAP or the UFO. So, you know, now he's flying and now he's going to go pick the payload up and then they got to go to the drop site. You feel me? Now, like I said, you don't get this type of information from regular people that work there, gang. They are not allowed to tell you information like this. Whistleblowers can, because they blowing that whistle and they letting you know, like, hey, look, I can't keep doing this. This shit is top flight. We need to let the people know. You know what I'm saying? We got to respect them, gang. We got to.
When you're en route to that object, you're given some basic information like weight estimates, size estimates. And there's two objects that I'm here to talk about. One was the egg. The other is what we called an 8-gon. The 8-gon was essentially a flying disc with what looked like 8 delineated sections when looking down. And I can tell you what it looked like from looking down because that's primarily how I saw it, because I'm a helicopter pilot. We did recoveries with the 8-gons. There was more than one that made its way to the ground on this particular operation. And the recovery was done at night, and then more was done in the day. Because of where we operate, sometimes things can make their way into the steep terrain. The terrain where we operate is the highest mountain range in the whole continental United States. And so the decision was made to wait till daylight to recover some of the object or some of the material that was brought down or made its way to the ground that night. During the recovery of the object at nighttime, I make my way in the helicopter from where we configure the line and we fly to what we call the pick site. There's 2 locations. We designate them pick site, drop site. Drop site at the delivery location. We have a crew both at the pick site and the drop site on the ground. The pick team configures the cargo for flight.
So whatever it is, the craft is sitting in a sling waiting for your helicopter.
Yeah, it's sitting. We have these things called pumpkins, which are like rubberized bags or containers. And from my point of view, it was covered in a pumpkin, at least from the bottom and the sides. This is one of the most profound experiences I've ever had in my life. I'm about to share with you. So
you're sharing one of these profound experiences, man. Now, y'all make sure y'all pay attention. This telling me a lot about these UFOs, these UAPs. It tells me, you know, that consciously, you know, it goes deeper than feelings. It goes deeper than we think. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's deeper than what the government is explaining to us or what anybody ever explained. You feel me? So, like, just pay attention, man.
This is, for me, when it became clear. As I get closer to this pick site, I start feeling odd. I start feeling extremely emotional. And the closer I get, the more the emotion starts to overwhelm me. And
what do you feel? What's the emotion?
I feel a sense of my mother. I don't know how else to explain it. I feel this intense hybrid of sadness and happiness and beauty and song. And it was very disruptive to me because I had a very practical responsibility at the time to operate a helicopter in the mountains at night. And I began wondering what was wrong with me. It was late. I'm like, am I just stressed? Am I tired? Am I marinating in cortisol and estrogen? I don't know.
So basically, he's saying when he start flying over this UAP, this UFO, you know, all of a sudden his feelings start to change. You know, and he said the moment he came in contact with this thing, it changed his feelings and it overwhelmed him with a hybrid feelings of sadness and happiness. He said he felt the feeling of his mother. He felt beauty. But I heard this all being explained before from neuroscientists, and also people who had near-death experiences, and the love that they, you know, say they experience. Also, with other people who, you know, had stories of coming in close contact with ETs, they said they feel love. You know, they feel a sense of warmth and joy. and security from being in contact with these things. That's what's tripping me out about his story now. Like I told y'all, he's a helicopter pilot, and he's been working with them for quite some time. He done a couple missions, and for him to say that, you feel me, and it freaked him out. You know, it freaked him out. So, like, man.
As I came over this object for the pic, there was this overwhelming sense of emotion.
What's it saying, the object? Tell me what you're feeling.
Yeah, because OG, he like, what did the object, you know, what did it make you feel like? Oh, you know, like, oh yeah, Bob Lazar, he was one of the ones too, man. Bob Lazar, for those of y'all that don't know, he physicist who study UFOs and UAPs.
Like I said, it was an overwhelming sense of sadness, happiness.
Is it your feeling? Are you suddenly having a mental breakdown on the job?
No, I felt like something connected with me. I felt like something had tuned in to me and my soul and was providing me some sense of guidance on what to do and how profound what I was doing was.
That's crazy. He said he felt like something, you know, connected to him, to his soul. He felt like something tuned into him, gang. Now that's different. That's different. I never heard a whistleblower explained it like that. I ain't never heard the story being told like this, you know. And I'm not gonna lie to y'all, it's much, much deeper, it's much, much more. But at the end of the day, I can't give it all to you because you got to go to News Nation and you got to watch the rest of that right there. You know what I mean? You got to watch the rest of that. You really want the rest of that information. Because like I said, when I heard of it and I peeped it, I was like, damn, that's deep. That's deep. I would have never thought this much, you know, connection would be, you know, title behind these UAPs, behind these findings and research. And it also explains why the government spends billions and billions of dollars trying to research the space, trying to research, you know, the universe. But man, y'all pay more attention. Like I said, watch these videos. These people that's whistleblowing, they're not here to whistleblow to scare you away. They're not here to drive you off. They just here to jog your mind, open your mind up, and let you know what the government been hiding from you, and let you know why you need to know it, why the public need to know it, because it's a need to know thing. It's on a need to know basis, man. Simple as that. At the end of the day, man, I love y'all, man. I thank everybody that tuned in, that stopped by. You feel me? When you get a chance, share this video, hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't, you understand me, and just stay aware. Keep your eyes to the sky. You understand? I'm out, gang.
Man, you bitch niggas better ante up or elevate. I need 6-figure money, won't hella bucks and hella cake. Fuck boy, I been on dummy, shooting hella ops, make them a day. If not him, then kill his mama, make him feel his wrath in the hella way. Hydro shock, but his eye, make through his chest, watch as they swim away. I don't stop shooting till you down in your last breath, and then I skid away. This a hollow tip.